Nice. This is going to be... I can't wait for our first in-person meeting.
I know. It's going to be insane.
We're just actually just hate each other. We're just done with the show.
People suck.
Quit judging my walk.
That is true.
All right.
We wouldn't even know each other if we didn't have any of this. We would just be four
Korean
Strangers
adoptees.
in the night.
Trying not to get the virus.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Oh, shoot.
What?
Didn't check the gain on my microphone like a big old dummy.
Dummy.
Man, you're a smarty. Don't say that.
You're listening to the Janchi Show, hosted by 3 Korean American adoptees diving headfirst into what it means to be adopted, Korean, American, and more. And now, here's your hosts, Nathan, Patrick, and KJ.
Welcome back to the Janchi Show. It's your boys, KJ, Nathan, and Patrick. This is our first episode of the new year. We are so excited.
Woo!
So
Happy
shout
New
out
Year.
to 2021. Sehe bok mani badeseo. I think that's right. I was really confident starting it. I know it starts with Sehe, and then I don't remember.
I wasn't
after
even
that.
going to try.
I wrote it down here on this instruction manual for Sehe bok mani baduseo. Did I say it right?
Book money.
Yeah.
Pareseo.
I have tried speaking Korean in front of enough native speakers that just mercilessly made fun of how I hit different syllables that I go for like monotone when I speak Korean. I'm like, maybe that's how I sound native, is I just don't put any inflection and then just let the words figure it out themselves.
But I feel that's how they like translate things online. When you hear like a translation of something, it's always very monotone. There isn't any inflection in the translation. So, but I know people who speak it, they have inflection, but the translations don't, because they just, it's very...
You mean like when you type it into Google Translate? And have it play
Yeah, or
back?
any of those.
Dude, that's because you're listening to a robot.
Oh, yeah, that too. But
Well, didn't Minju say something about it being like their inflection being an important part of it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's tonal like English is tonal. So it's like, do you have a question? You know? Sehe bok mani badeseo? It's like Happy New Year,
Gotcha.
but it's not tonal like Chinese or Vietnamese or anything like that. Cambodian, I think, might be.
I
whatever.
tried to say it actually like I would say Happy New Year's, which you say Happy New Year's.
Yeah.
But then I tried to say it with that, and it did not come out correct.
Because it's so much longer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because
Oh
instead
my
of 3
gosh.
words, it's 2, 4, 8 words.
So many syllables.
Technically. I liked it. I mean, it does. I thought it sounded good.
Money, pareseo.
That was good. That sounded good. I think. Maybe it didn't. I don't know. I'm not I'm
Who
not
are
the
we
right
to
judge.
judge?
Yeah,
I'm not the right
we need somebody, a Korean speaker, to tell us, and actually tell us to say it first and see how they say it.
Yes,
Korean
absolutely.
listeners, please,
Yeah.
in the comments.
Give us
Send us
a
a
Happy
voice
New
memo.
Year
Yeah.
video text.
Yeah.
Send me a voicemail and I will have it translated. My number is 555-555-1255.
Nice. That's real. Well, hey, last episode, I think we asked for rating and review for Christmas, and we got one. This is from Shorty Ninja 007, given to us December 24th, which is fantastic. It says, great chemistry and diverse guests, 5 stars. Please take some time and give the show a listen. Even though the hosts have never met in person, they seem to engage like they have known each other for years and do a wonderful job of sharing their thoughts and views with honesty and a willingness to be vulnerable about their personal experiences. The guests range from cats who are relatively new to adoptive /Korean journeys to well-established scholars, which allows for enlightening and thoughtful interviews. So the Janchi Show is another much-needed outlet for adopted Korean Americans to share adoption /Korean narratives from their perspective. So Shorty Ninja 007, thanks for that.
Yes,
Shout out to Shorty Ninja 007.
Also, your username is killer.
That was a great review.
Yeah.
Obviously, and it does to show that Shorty Ninja 007 has been listening to our show from the very beginning, knowing that we've never met in person.
I mean, our
Because some
first
guests
review,
are like, you guys have ever met before?
our first review, the person had listened from the very beginning, but it was one episode, and they were like, I want to try some
Literally
kimchi.
love
And I was
kimchi.
like, I also want to try some kimchi.
And we should
that's
also
hilarious.
mention that we ended the year on a very special note, finding out that we were one of the top 10 podcasts to listen to for the Asian American Journalists Association. So we got listed.
Shout out to the AAJA
That
and
was
the people that
a
put that list
surprise
together.
and a pretty amazing thing to see online.
That was awesome.
What was your guys' first reactions when? Well, Nathan, did you find it first? I just kind of
Yeah.
saw notification and wasn't really prepared to see that.
Yeah, I saw the notification that we were tagged, and I looked it up real quick, and I was like, oh, who is this? And then AAJA. So I went to their website, went to their Twitter, just to see, what they were all about, because I actually hadn't heard about them yet. And they did like a year-end review of multiple things, podcasts,
They had books on there, I believe.
books. Yeah. So
movies,
it was
maybe?
just,
I'm not
it was like
100%
a
sure.
year-end review for Asian American Pacific Islander resources, and to be listed as a podcast is like I said, amazing. I very humbling. So thank you.
Sorry, I was thinking when I saw that, I just lost my mind and literally was at a loss for words. Didn't do any research, didn't do anything that you just described. I was just like, what?
Classic.
So, and then like I saw Patrick and I was like, yeah. So I think if we had to describe our reactions in a single emoji, mine would have been the ghosty looking like hands on the face, emoji. Yeah. And I think Patrick's was like the mind blown. And then Nathan was probably just like a man shrugging. He was like, yeah, that's cool.
Well, I'm come from the mindset because of my photography business and everything that I get notifications for like, you won an award, or would you like to buy this website? There's a lot of scammers out there.
That's a good range.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things that you have been rated as one of the top 10 photographers in Anaheim. I'm like,
That's amazing.
Okay, and so I get a lot of stuff where it's like, is this real? Is this true? And so I want to do research before I celebrate. So
Understandable.
and so that's just my skepticism, I guess. But I
I just felt like that very much matched our vibes. It was
did.
like Nathan was like, "Yeah, that's cool," and Patrick and I were just like, "Ah!"
What? Say what and the where and the hey
But
now
yes,
who?
thank you AAJA for that. We
Yeah.
are very honored. So
Definitely honored for being such a young PCast.
PCast. I like that.
To
Gross.
be featured on that list is cool, especially because we are like adoptees, so we're still trying to like find our way in
No, we
that
we
community.
are adoptees. We're not like
Kind
adoptees.
of like
we
adoptees.
are adoptees.
Right. Cut that like out. I said that with a strike through. You didn't hear that?
yeah.
You didn't hear the strike through?
Nope. Not.
But just
awake
trying
enough.
to continue to be a part of the community and stuff and to be recognized by members of the Asian American community at large.
Yeah,
Two thumbs.
the
All the way up.
Korean adoptee counterpublic, if you will.
And we have
still think
I'm
that's like
trying
the
to drop
coolest-
that.
That's like
everywhere
the
you go.
coolest phrase. I'm just like, yeah, I'm part of the counterpublic.
Constantly dropping that one. I love it.
I understand it, but it's like still kind of hard for me to grasp. Anyways, let's move on to our little. I keep wanting to say Que Te Pica, but we're not a Spanish Aquí Presents podcast. We're just the Janchi Show
Yep.
podcast.
Don't rebrand us, man. Don't do it.
The thing that we're talking about today is New Year's, new us's. What are our goals and plans for 2021? Nathan, let's start with you. Do you do resolutions? And if so, what are they?
I used to do resolutions. I would say probably the most common resolution was always health and fitness.
Yeah.
And to fall back on on that would be, I don't know, expected. So I'll just say that I would like to do that more often. We actually did get an exercise bike last year and everything, and I used it maybe 20 times. But I want to use it a lot more. When I ride it, I hear people that are hitting their 5,000th ride or 1,000th ride. These huge milestones, and I'm like, I'm at 20. So I want to definitely bump that up. And there's a lot more coming in store for this year. It's going to be a year of change and a year of new hope. And I think that
Episode
I
4.
am. Yeah.
Beat it by 1
I knew you guys were going to say something Star Wars-y. There's a lot of really good new Star Wars shows coming out, right? So we
Yes,
can
very excited
jump
about
into that on another episode. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this year for a lot of reasons that I will announce later. But yeah,
Like,
Do we know?
hopefully meeting each other in person.
yes, that would
Once
be
the
one of
vaccine
them for
rolls
sure.
out and we're good to travel and all that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I'll be lucky to get the vaccine by 2022. So yeah, we'll see. What about you guys?
Yeah, I feel like same as Nathan. For a long time, when I would do a resolution, it would always be health based. I feel like I am kind of that this year, but for this year, it's not so much resolution as it is just continuing to sustain this journey that I'm on. Not just with this, but in my personal life and doing everything. Got a marriage coming up, or a wedding coming up in September.
Yeah.
Just trying to being entrenched in the job that I've been in and trying to move forward there. And then everything that I'm doing here with this show, just continuing to hope to move forward. And, even when it's not all positive, hoping and pushing through the negativity, by having a good mindset and continuing to do that. So that's what I'm looking forward to in 2021. And like Nathan, I have a couple other things that I hopefully will be able to announce coming up. I will say this. Actually, no, I'll save it for later.
Oh, what a tease.
Teasing. We have so many teasers on this episode. Everyone's going to have to come back.
Actually, I will make an announcement. So you've probably heard Jerry talk about it some, but I did used to do music. If you go to my Facebook or my SoundCloud today, you will see that I released a new song yesterday. I was too busy sleeping to make any noise about it, but I had that go live yesterday. I've had it for a minute, but I'm planning on releasing a project at some point this year. First one in 2 years, last one probably forever. But I have something coming, so
that's big.
Announcement.
That's freaking awesome.
I'm gonna bring that up right after this.
Yeah, we're gonna blast it all over our socials. So if you don't follow us at the Janchi Show and join our Facebook group, the Janchi Show After Party, where I posted a photo of my New Year's tradition, which is an old Korean tradition of making tteokguk, which is rice cake soup. So I thought it was good, and it leads me into, I guess, my resolution for this year. I feel like, unlike the two of you, where health was a recurring resolution, that I just apparently don't care about my health like that.
Or you're already healthy, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. You're young. Who thinks about that when they're young?
I mean, anyways. So my New Year's resolution, like in years past, has historically been to get better at Korean. And this past year, 2020, I realized I've kind of hit that point where I'm not necessarily going to get better unless I really immerse myself in it. Like I know enough of the building blocks. I'm not like fantastic at grammar. I definitely don't have any of the vocabulary, but like I just, so I downloaded this app called Drops, and its whole thing is like practice Korean 5 minutes a day, right? Mm-hmm. And so while I was practicing Korean, I had gotten more vocabulary and learned that like to say soup is soup and salad is salad. So like just feel like cheese is cheese. So I learned a lot of new food words and things like that. But I was just like, if I got off the horse, I was like, I don't know what to do there. And then when I was shopping for the tteokguk ingredients, I was like, well, I want to be able to read this. And like I went looking for fish sauce, and I was like, wait, I don't actually know how to say fish sauce in Korean. And like all of the labels were in Korean. I was like, well, that isn't helpful. So anyways, I guess my resolution this year is to more fully immerse myself in Korean culture. And I don't know if that's once a week or whatever, but like just take some time where all I do is, listen to Korean music, watch a K-drama, or try to read things in Korean, so that I can, retain that and really soak my brain in Korean. So I think tangibly, I might try to release one Korean song cover each month and like translate it myself, or try to do that, so kind of Patrick adjacent, but I'm not like creating original content. I'm just covering stuff. So I probably won't do K-pop. I might do K-pop. I don't know, but there's a lot of K-indie stuff that I really like. So so that's my goal, is sometime in January, sometime in the month, just to release a cover song in Korean so that I can do that. So
nice.
I'm excited about that.
Dude, that's exciting. I'm excited to hear that.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
Moving back to the food thing, how did you didn't just make tteokguk, you also did other banchan, right?
So I did just make the tteokguk, and then bought pre-made banchan and all that stuff. So we were at H Mart, and like the kimchi jars were large, and I was like, well, I don't want like a huge jar of kimchi to leave. But we found like the pre-made banchan and jeon, which is another type of. It's like so jeon is like a Korean pancake, but it's a specific subgroup of Korean pancake that is commonly eaten, I guess, around New Year's. So I got cucumber kimchi and radish kimchi, which were both like really sweet, which I liked. So it wasn't like kind of that strong fermenty smell or anything. And then we had a variety pack of jeon, so like different Korean pancakes. There's fish and crab and veggie and kimchi and all that stuff. And then I was looking for japchae, but I couldn't find any pre-made, and I was like, well, whatever. So the dokguk was good. I think I didn't use enough meat for how much water I had. And then I did some other stuff like with seaweeds and what I was like, oh, I can mess with this. Oh, and then I ended up getting, didn't know this exists, soy sauce for soup, which is kind of a thinner thing and probably
like
has
a soup base kind of
no,
sauce?
it's like it's meant as a means of flavoring the broth and whatnot. And it's a little thinner maybe than traditional soy sauce or whatever. So so I didn't use enough of that. So then when I like the second time added that in, it ended up being good. So it was a really easy meal to make, honestly. Cool. And I'd never made a broth based soup before. So I was like, you just chop some stuff up, throw it in, let it sit. Great, done. So I'm excited to continue eating that and exploring more Korean foods this year.
Nice.
So,
I'm jealous. I wanted to make it too, and I'd posted about it in a couple groups, and then I couldn't get out. I didn't have any time. My wife worked both days before, and I didn't get a chance to get to the market. And I even considered making my own rice cakes, but I didn't have any rice flour or tapioca powder, I guess is the other ingredient. So.
I was just like, I'm just going to buy all the pre-made stuff and then just like put it together on my own.
That's what I wanted to do for the first one too, but I couldn't get out to the market. So unfortunately I'll have to wait for next year. But
oh, and then I introduced my parents to soju, which is cool. But it wasn't Jinro. It was good friend soju.
Good friend soju. Oh, okay.
But it was,
did they like it? Did they drink it all?
They were like,
or?
oh yeah. Yeah.
They did.
But they, I don't think that they ever had it. And I got apple
I don't think
flavor
my parents have ever
and
had it
grape
either.
flavor. And they were, grape? No, strawberry. Strawberry flavor. I think Jinro strawberry is better, but this
Start
apple.
them off with the flavored stuff.
Yeah, the apple was a red delicious apple, and it was quite delicious.
That sounds good.
Cool.
I like the green apple one better for Jinro anyway, so.
Oh, really?
I'm going to have to try that.
Yeah, I like the green apple, but the red delicious apple was... Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got an interview with Molly Enelow, and she is a scuba instructor turned MA, which I'm assuming stands for medical assistant.
We'd never asked. I didn't even think to ask, but I assumed. I did make that same assumption.
So so obviously because of the pandemic, scuba diving and traveling and stuff to places where you do that has been ground to a halt. So she is located in the DC area, and we talk with her just about growing up with a community of adoptees, and then her process of self-racializing kind of during her college years, and where that has led to now, and some goals for the upcoming year. It was filmed right after Christmas.
After.
I actually don't remember if we get into much Christmas talk, but if we do, that's what's up. So here is the interview right now.
Roll interview. Welcome back to the Janchi Show. We are here today with Molly and... Wait, what?
You said welcome back, and I said thank you. Oh, it's nice to be here.
You're very welcome. Let me take that again from the top. Welcome back to the Janchi Show. We are here with our very special guest today, Molly Enelow. Molly, thank you for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm well, thanks. Thank you guys for having me. I've been a bit busy with work, but besides that, everything's been pretty good. Can't complain. Yeah. How about you guys?
Good.
Just
recovering from Christmas.
B+.
No, you know what? I'm gonna bump it to A-. A- feels right, actually.
You're on the record for B+ from the
No, I'm bumping it up to A-. I'm allowed to change my rating.
I don't know why
This
I
is my
started with-
show, Patrick. Jeez.
I don't know
Come
why
on,
I
with all
started
this
with
hostility.
how are you? Because we're just rehashing the first 7 minutes of before recording. So I like it. That's just how we do it on the show. You know, that's what we do. We're actually going to talk about it in the intro. I don't know what I'm doing. We haven't done this in a while.
Patrick's like, guys, it's after Christmas.
All right.
My brain is broken. I don't know what to do.
I'm back in it. All right, Molly, thank you for coming on the show. We kick it off the same way each interview. We want to know and want you to share with our audience, with us, a little bit about your adoption story and just a little bit about growing up.
Yeah. So I was adopted from South Korea when I was 7 months old. I grew up in Bethesda, Maryland, very white Jewish household. But thankfully, you know, the neighborhood growing up, almost all of the kids were adopted.
Really?
Yeah, it was very surprising, honestly. My neighbors were adopted. My best friends growing up were all adopted. So I had quite a good, diverse group of friends, to say the least. And growing up in the DMV, it's been very culturally, I don't know, immersive, I guess is the best way to put it. But basically, I remember my dad telling me they were on a trip in Martha's Vineyard and they saw these Korean kids playing in the water. And my dad went up to the family and asked where they were from. And they said Korea. And right then and then he was like, okay, I want to adopt a kid from Korea. That's it. Like my heart's set on it. And I don't think my mom had much say. She was like, okay. So then they adopted me in 1999. And I've been in Maryland my entire life.
Right on.
And I was born in Daegu. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but
Yep,
Good enough.
You got it.
Hometown, baby.
That's where KJ
Birthtown?
was adopted.
I think of Dallas as my hometown, so Birthtown. That's yeah.
Birthtown.
yes,
Birthtown.
KJ,
but-
sorry, KJ, is that bell going to ruin the audio?
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
do you
it
want
is
me
what
to
it
take it
is.
off him?
Is that possible?
Is it?
Ooh,
I didn't know if it
yes,
was just
please.
a toy that he was playing with.
I
or if it
couldn't
was
tell
just-
either if it was a toy or
Yeah,
not.
I was like, so for the listeners at home, this is Molly has a cat named Louie, and Louie is 3 months old, and he loves to play. For the listeners at home, she thought she grabbed the bell, and now he's found a new bell.
He's playing.
How
with
many
it,
bell toys have you given him?
Oh no! Apparently, way too many. Okay.
It's okay, you're
was
not a full-time
amazing.
podcaster, so it's probably fine.
The facial expression you gave to him when you heard that second bell go off was
He found
priceless. I
another
wish we were
bell.
recording. That was amazing.
But yeah, I grew up in Maryland my entire life. Went to school in DC. A lot of, again, my friends are adopted. My best friend's adopted from China. And we've just been able to talk a lot about our past and current and future experiences, which is really nice. Oh my God. Sorry.
This is amazing.
But yeah, I think that's the beautiful part about growing up in DMV. Like, since it's where all of the embassies are and all of the politicians are, there's such a diverse group that you don't really get anywhere else, which is very nice. We've hosted exchange students from China and Ireland and countless other places. So it's been very interesting to hear other people's stories who've gone through similar yet very different paths, I guess, like growing up.
Right on. Really quickly, is DMV like DC, Maryland, Virginia?
Yes,
Yep.
sorry, I should have specified.
Got it.
We call it the DMV, which I know it gets confusing.
Well, it just gives it some interesting connotations.
Yeah, I was thinking like Department of Motor Vehicles
Yeah, a lot of people.
You're like,
reference.
when you go to get your license renewed, it's a very interesting situation. And I saw
I'm at the
some Korean kids
DMV in the DMV.
playing in a fountain. Like, what DMV has a fountain in it? That's bougie.
What's funny, like some people who move here, I'm like, oh, how do you like the DMV? And they're like, I don't like it very much. And I'm like, why is
The
that?
long
They're
lines.
Why'd you move
Sucks. But
That's
Yeah.
I
hilarious.
just love queuing.
Louis has got the most Bell toys. I love it.
Louis
Because
going ham.
he's enjoying playing with them, which my cat doesn't enjoy toys anymore, apparently. So
I mean, it's just here. I say this is part of making a podcast in 2020.
sorry, Lou. Can I call him Lou?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, or Lou, but go for it.
So I thought I thought something really interesting you touched on in where you're growing up is that you grew up in a community full of adoptees. I don't feel like even our guests from Minnesota, where they're the land of 10,000 adoptees, they're like, I grew up not knowing a single other person that was adopted or of color. So I think it's really interesting that in your neighborhood you were able to, have that experience. I wonder if you could I know you talked about it just being very diverse. I wonder if you could just speak on those experiences a little bit. Did you guys talk about the adoption process at all? What was that? What were those experiences like?
Well, so all of my friends growing up were either adopted or from a different background, or some were from here. But every single friend that I've had, we've talked about adoption and the process and the ages we were adopted and what our parents tried to do to make us feel more included. But my best friend, Emily, she and I have talked endless days about just our experiences. I was adopted so young at 7 months. She was adopted at like a year and a half. And I've had other friends who are also from Korea who've been adopted, and, their parents pushed more for them to be in adoptee groups, kind of like showing them their culture, versus me and Emily's parents, who they tried to introduce us to, for my parents, Korea, and for Emily's, China. But I felt like it was more forced than I wanted it to be. And maybe that was my resentment growing up as an adoptee. But I definitely rejected all of their, the gifts and the trying to take me to Korean restaurants and introducing me to the culture and history of it all, until about a few years ago when I decided to branch out on my own, which has been very eye-opening, I guess, to say the least.
Can you explain more about like what you mean when you say your, I guess, resentment towards being shown your kind of, I guess, heritage? Is that what we call it? I don't actually know.
Culture,
what we call it.
heritage, birth,
Yeah,
anything?
sure. Or stuff about Korea.
Origin culture.
Yeah, so I grew up with two siblings who were birth children of my adopted parents. And I think them being this whole family, like, they all look the same, they all have the same personalities, they are just one. And then me, and then kind of growing up, I realized, like, through my teenage years, I was like, oh, I'm not a part of their family. Like, they adopted me, but I'm not their kid, da-da-da-da. I wanted to be separated from them. And I think also as growing up, we used to travel quite a bit. And other states, countries, just cultures, they weren't as aware as the DMV, as DC, about children being adopted. Constantly, when we went to anything that had a line, they would put the rope down in front of me, cutting me off from my family. I took a trip to China. I got dragged basically by this Chinese policeman thinking I was a Tibetan beggar from my family. So
Dang.
yeah, it's been a hectic growing up, and I didn't think it would be that bad because, like, growing up in the DC,
You can say
Say the
DMV.
DMV.
Yeah, it's
You can
fine.
say
I
the
just need
DMV.
I need that first
just drop it.
explanation.
I
I just
like
saw
it.
you're like
So-
working extra hard, and you're like, wait,
Yeah.
I can't say anything.
Just drop the
All good.
DMV. We like it. I like it.
But yeah, growing up the DMV, everyone was adopted or knew about adoption, and even like in Colorado, I was in Boulder of all places, which I was like, that's pretty like diverse and considering other parts of Colorado. And one woman was like, how are you adopted? Like she couldn't wrap her mind around it. So it just, yeah. So I think those past experiences growing up, like I was just resented my family, even though obviously nothing was their fault. But just the unknown of my birth family and I guess not knowing like, my medical history, I don't know how I'm going to turn out in the future, just endless possibilities. I took it out on them. And just recently, I think when I was like 19, I decided, okay, I want to learn about Korea. I want to take charge and finally try to learn it my way, not when my parents wanted to introduce me. So it took quite some time to get there, but I'm glad I got there finally.
I think it's really interesting that your experience is so inverse to a lot of the experiences that we've had conversations about so far. In regards to you having connected with adoptees first and then starting to kind of self-actualize in a racial manner, in terms of coming to grips or reckoning with your Korean or your Asian identity. I was wondering if you could just talk to us a little bit about what caused that shift here. You said a couple years ago where you started to want to pursue those questions or that part of yourself. What kind of precipitated that move there?
Yeah. Well, okay. So I've done therapy and I've had adoption therapists because my parents, I think, realized how much, again, I resented the family. So I started seeing an adoption therapist who I didn't really like the idea of that because I thought I could do it on my own. And then first semester of college, I met this girl, Maggie, who was from China. And she introduced me to all of her Chinese friends who were just kind of from all over. And they were first generation immigrants, I want to say almost. But they were very different from people I've met here. Because usually the Asian people I've met here, they're all Americanized. And it really opened my eyes to everything I'm missing from my culture and everything I literally don't know anything. And it made me want to learn more and just kind of open myself up to something very beautiful that I have been rejecting.
Was there a particular moment with Maggie and company that sticks out in your mind that you were like, oh man, this is so cool, and I'm sure that there's something like this that exists in Korea? Or was it just like kind of the overall experience of being with her and her own? I'm gonna stop there. I was like, I could go longer, but I will. Future KJ will appreciate it if I stop there. So.
Yeah, I remember it was the first house party I went to, and they were all there. I met a couple of them at this. We used to do beer pong tournaments, and like that was our thing.
Nice.
That's like quintessential college right now.
Yeah.
Taking me back.
And I loved it. I never had a close group of Asian friends. I've had Asian friends, but not a tight knit group where I felt super comfortable. I always felt a little weird being with solely Asian people growing up in a just very diverse area. So it was the first house party. We were all there. There were people who were Maggie, who's more Americanized, and then girls who didn't speak a lick of English.
Mm-hmm.
And that I was like, I really like this. Like, they're different. Like maybe to me, I was a little intimidated at first. I was like, oh my gosh, they're very outgoing, a little crazy, but it was just a difference of culture. And I loved how they interacted. They all got along. They all kind of just respected each other from the American culture and the Chinese culture, which is interesting to see the mixture of them. And after that, we've just hung out all the time, still did our beer pong tournaments, still got to learn about their culture, and they tried to help break me out of my shell a little bit more, which was comforting.
So I want to make sure I understand correctly. It was Maggie and company, like the lot of them, were they all international students, or were some of them like first gen American, or like what was the makeup there?
Maggie was Chinese American, and then we had a small kind of tight group, but they, I think a lot of them are first generation.
So all Chinese American generally?
Yeah.
Okay. So were your adopted friends growing up, were they all generally Asian American?
No, there was an array.
So yeah, so I'm listening to you, talk about this, and kind of in that switch from going from like a group of adoptees to like as you self-racialize really. And it sounds like a similar process that I went through in college. Hanging out with like first gen Asian Americans or international students and things helped me realize like what it meant to be in a properly Asian American community for the first time. And so I think what's interesting is as I was learning about kind of my own history and Asian American history and celebrating, what's it called? Asian American month,
Culture?
basically.
Oh,
no,
right.
Is like our month
I
in
got
May,
you.
basically.
Heritage Month. Heritage Month.
Yeah. My wife pointed out to me, she was like, you use they when you talk about Asians a lot. Because I hadn't like understood myself as Asian American. And I know that you wrote in your guest form that for a while you just thought of yourself as an American, right? Like no hyphen attached to that, right? So I very much identify with that. And I wonder if part of your self-racializing was actually hanging out with some hyphen Americans in a way where you were like, oh, these people are cool and they look like me and they're comfortable with who they are, in a way that I think a lot of adoptees, if they don't consciously choose to be a blank American, they have this sense of like, I don't feel comfortable in my own skin because I don't feel, I guess, properly Asian American, like they just haven't. So like anytime that's forced on them, they're like, oh, I guess I am Asian, unless, like it's kind of one of those weird juggling acts, but that just sounds very similar to my story. Because I was like, oh yeah, at some point there was a very clear moment in my own history. I was like, and now I understand that I'm Asian American, which for me, that was like 3 months ago when I was like, yep, I understand myself that way. So.
Yeah. I mean, obviously like filling out forms growing up, I pressed, clicked Asian, but I like same as you, didn't really recognize myself as Asian American. I think I wanted so bad to just be American, because I mean, I'm sure all of you have experienced this growing up. They're like, oh, where are you from? And I'm like, oh, like DC. And they're like, no, where are you from?
I'm from the DMV.
Where are you really from?
And that and just like the endless questions, like again with my parents being doctors, they're like, oh, are you going to be a doctor? Do they want you to be a doctor? It just got tiring, and I was like, no, I'm solely an American. That's it. But there's so much I realized missing from me as an adult that I wish I had explored earlier, and I wish I had accepted, or not accepted, but acknowledged that I am Asian American and from a much earlier age. But I think with any kids growing up, like kids are mean and they bully, and as weird as it sounds, coming from a very diverse place, kids still would make me kind of feel bad about being Asian sometimes, which was strange. They'd make slightly racist jokes. Obviously, they were kids. They didn't know any better. But I think that's why, like you, I just kind of was like, nope, I'm not hyphenated, just solely American. So.
Yeah, like the whole of Asian America is strapped with this model minority narrative and the submissive like role. So, it's like it's everywhere. Like you said, you grew up in a diverse neighborhood with a lot of adoptees and other people of color, and you still had to deal with that. And you'd think you get into areas like that, it would be a lot less prevalent, but unfortunately, it's not. And that's just the systemic issues that we deal with in this country. So. I was wondering if you could take us to those moments after you've met Maggie and her group of friends, and you're like, okay, I want to learn now. What was the first thing that you told yourself? You're like, Molly, you're going to go and learn like the food or the language, or what was the first thing that you're like, I got to dig into this? What was that? What was that like?
Half of me wanted to learn the language, which it is very difficult. I learned the hard way. I tried Duolingo. I thought about signing up for an online tutor, which I don't have money for. So Duolingo it was. And then the other half of me wanted just to learn about the present culture. Of course, I still want to learn about the history and everything, but I wanted to follow more Korean influencers, learn about more Korean dishes, learn about more Korean restaurants, go to H Mart more, of course. But it was mainly the language, which kind of stunted me a little bit. I knew it would be difficult, and I know you should learn languages young, but I think not having a hands-on tutor, like having to do it myself, really stopped me from trying to improve in that category. I still, try to keep up with whatever Instagram or YouTube influencers there are and kind of watch their cooking videos and kind of their heritage videos, which has been very interesting. But I want to look more into regular day people from Korea, not famous ones, and see what I can learn from them, because obviously influencers, they put their best foot forward and make it seem a lot more cheerful and easier than it is. But I've, tried to keep like a book of just everything that I've been learning and want to keep learning, but it was definitely culture by far.
What's something that you've learned of present day Korean culture that surprised you the most or the least?
I guess, well, with that group, with Maggie's group, surprisingly a lot of them listen to K-pop, which I didn't know much about, and I didn't realize how much variety there was of it. But for me, it was just the type of music they had. It was very different from what I grew up with. I didn't also realize that they all had like girl bands or boy bands. I didn't know that was a thing. I knew there was like a couple of them, but I didn't realize like every single group is a boy band or girl band, which was very interesting. But yeah, I'm still trying to take it like little by little. With the pandemic, I haven't done any new research, unfortunately.
And then what about food? Nothing. Have you done much food? You said you followed some cooking shows. So have you tried to cook some dishes or something?
Yeah, I've tried doing like cooking some Korean food at home. It's a little difficult cooking for one. And like not going out obviously to get food too much. So I've, tried making, Korean barbecue and hot pot and other like pancakes and whatnot here, but it would be a lot easier if I had, friends or a roommate or someone to do it with.
My sister just sent me a Korean cookbook. Haven't cracked into it yet.
Yeah.
I went to make something and got all the wrong ingredients. So I felt really stupid. So I was like, let's just shut this, put it back up on the shelf. And yeah, so we're actually planning on making bibimbap for New Year's. So
for New Year's. Wow.
we will be back to let you know how that turns out.
Yeah, Sarah just got me a traditional hot stone bowl, so I can make
nice.
which I'm so excited about. And I just watched. Okay, so
don't burn yourself.
Yeah, good call. So as being a good friend, I guess, whatever, associate, I was listening to our co-nominees, Two Horny Goats and Bamboo and Glass, a couple of their episodes. And the one from Two Horny Goats was talking about food. And so they were like, the way they talked about food made me really like start cooking, because I love cooking and I just haven't had time. And then when I got, like right before I got the dosot, I was watching the Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat documentary on
yeah, that's
Netflix,
great.
and then I was like, now I'm like super ready to cook, and then she gets that, and I'm like, ugh, and then I left it at home. But my plan is to
Nice.
cook a Korean meal for my family tomorrow. So fingers crossed, we'll see
Oh,
how that goes. Because I'm so close to like a proper H Mart here, you know.
Yeah.
So
do it. What are you cooking?
I don't know yet. I'm gonna do some research.
You guys
but-
might inspire me to
Didn't you say it's tomorrow?
do something.
Yeah. Dude,
Nice.
I'm on vacation. All I have to do is wake up. Okay, that's the only thing on my
That's true.
agenda tomorrow.
Literally,
So-
just open your eyes and
Yeah.
then shut them again.
So
That's
let's
it.
swap
That's all I can say.
places. I don't want to work.
Molly, that was actually going to be my next question. You've talked about being busy during the pandemic. I was wondering if you could share a little bit about what you do currently and what you've been doing during this whole thing.
Yeah, I started working at a private medical office just because I can't travel. Like, as a scuba instructor, my whole job requires traveling. So that has been put on hold. They were looking for work. I kind of do administrative associate work, but I also work kind of as an MA because we've been short-staffed. It's been mainly COVID related, surprisingly enough. But it's been very stressful. Even the slow days, it's nonstop COVID questions, COVID testing, COVID, I don't even know, virtual appointments. We have patients who will call 15 times a day just about, I don't know, a COVID question, and it's stressful. I've been working nonstop. I work 6 days a week. It's been very eye-opening and a very good learning experience, especially during the pandemic, with how little I did know about medicine versus how much I do now. But I did just get my vaccine yesterday, so that was pretty exciting.
Ooh.
Nice.
Nice.
Let's see. Show us your form. Show us your file.
It's in
No, I'm
there.
just
I
kidding. You
actually
don't
got a
have to show us.
vaccine card.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But it was interesting. It was nerve-wracking to get it. I was a little nervous, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I got the Moderna one, so that was
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Extra
Yeah.
nerve-wracking.
yeah. But everything's fine. All my coworkers got it, so it's been pretty good.
And you said you've been a scuba instructor before that, but that required traveling. You don't just do Virginia scuba diving area. Like, I don't know specifically where over there, but are you on a coast or where did you do the scuba diving instruction?
Yeah, so, well, considering I'm 10 miles from DC, not near a coast at all, so I started scuba diving when I was 13,
Wow.
and I've gone diving mainly in the Caribbean. I was going to travel quite a bit this summer to Egypt and Italy and work with the National Aquarium, but those were all canceled. And I had a plan to go whale shark tagging and do this ocean conservation program in Ecuador. But I think the most frustrating part was I just became an instructor this past year, and then I was about to
Yeah.
opportunities.
No.
And I know everyone's like, it's not just me, but it was
Yeah.
a little
It's
frustrating.
unfortunate to like cross that finish line and then be like, and
Yeah.
now you wait. You're like, well,
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah.
That's cool.
But I taught in Mexico for a couple months, which was really nice. And I definitely want to go back, but obviously I have to wait it out a little bit. And I don't even know if places are offering diving really. So
Well, I'd say once it's all cleared back up, that's probably going to be a hot commodity
Yeah.
because people are going to not want to just go to the beach. They're like, I got to do scuba diving.
yeah.
I got to do deep sea fishing
Skydiving,
or whatever.
Rocky Mountain
Skydiving.
climbing, going
What other
2.7
gonna-
seconds, and
Bungee jumping.
whatever that's like.
Fu Manchu.
Yeah.
Now we're singing lyrics.
So I have one other question just that you had brought up about what you've been doing now, and you've learned a lot of new things like medical in the medical field, just stuff about medicine. Have you felt that any of this stuff that you've learned or been learning has made you want to even more pursue in that direction of like a biological search or anything like that? Do you think that's played any role at all? Is it too soon to tell?
Actually, so I guess my adoption agency, once you turn 12 or 13 or something, they are allowed to release all that and the biological parents' information kind of to you. Unfortunately, there wasn't much on my parents, but I did get to meet my foster mom when I was 9 years old, which was very, I don't know, bittersweet, I guess. I obviously don't remember her because I was only 7 months old. I think I was a little overwhelmed and scared being kind of just thrown in a room with my family and her and a translator. It wasn't as warm as I thought it would be, but
Do you have pictures of her, like, and you as a baby, or are you just like, this is your foster mom, and you're like, okay?
yeah, I have a photo of us when I was 9 when we met. But besides that, no. She gave me these dolls, and then there's a photo of me. I think this was for the adoption agency, of me on this little plastic throne with the whole get up and my name, like, I don't know, on the throne. That I assume she took. But that's really it. But yeah, I've wanted to look more into my biological parents. Obviously, I want to do 23andMe, which I have no excuse as to why I haven't yet.
Girl, same. Except my own fears.
You could come up with a bunch of excuses. I literally just did one. The 26th.
Yeah, you blew up our Instagram on your story. So
well, I wanted to.
I'm excited
have
for
everyone
part
come
2,
along
bro.
For the journey.
Yeah,
I know. I gotta put it in the mail
Follow up.
still. I haven't even made it to part 0.1
to 1.2, putting it in the mailbox.
Where you put it in the mailbox. Yeah. Well, I think that's really awesome. You know, I think that adoptees at some point or another are going to come to this point in their life where they want to search. You know, I feel like it's really cool to hear from you, especially because you're so young. I think you're one of the youngest guests that we've had on the show. Yeah. And to be so connected, I think, to the adoptee part of it is really, that blows my mind. And I could ask you many, many, many questions about that. But I don't want to take up all of the night. So we will not make that happen. But I do think it's really cool that you've been able to find the courage and the determination to go on that journey and to start exploring that. You know, it takes a lot, I think. And a lot of people don't do it. Adoptees don't do it until they're 30, like myself. So the fact that you're doing it at a young age, I think is really cool. And I think it sets you up for a lot of cool things going forward. I know it's kind of a rehash, but I just want to hear what you think. Outside of that, what is the thing outside of that bio search? What is the thing you're most excited about either doing or learning in regards to your Korean heritage or anything to do with like the adoptee community? You know, what's the most exciting next step in your mind?
I've actually talked about this quite a bit with my parents. I definitely want to go back to Korea. I want to do 2 trips, obviously when everything's cleared to go, but I want to go back for maybe even a few months by myself, explore, try to just immerse myself as much as possible, talk to my foster mom without all that pressure, go talk to the adoption agency, find out more about my parents, but I want to do that independently. And I think that's one thing that I've thought about a lot in the past 5 years. And then I do want to do a second trip with my dad, because I believe that my birth dad is the only one who's still alive, and I want to meet him eventually. I'm not sure when, but I want to bring my adopted dad with me just as support. And I think those are the 2 most important things when it comes to, I don't know, learning more about Korea and my heritage and everything, history and everything.
It's really cool. I like that you've split it up into 2 trips, because I think a lot of people try to all fit it into one. And not only that, you are giving it time where you say you want to be there for many months or so to explore and to learn and just kind of soak it all in, which I think is wise as well. I was only there, unfortunately, for 3 days, and that's my only trip I've ever been there.
That blows my mind every time I hear that.
Yeah,
because you had so much happen to you in 3 days.
So much in 3 days,
Like,
but I mean, I really wish I had more time. I really wish I had seen more of Seoul. I really wish I'd seen other areas, and then yeah, it's the same thing. I would love to go back, and that you're planning I think that's great that you're planning already. Say, long trip and then another trip for different things. And so, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And you're young. You have all this
Yeah.
time. Go
Do it when you're
100
young.
times. Don't limit it to just
Patrick, you
2.
say that like you're like 80 years older than her.
But don't,
I am.
you can still
see?
do it too, Patrick. See, I have 3 kids. I can't do it anymore. So.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I'm
Yeah.
sorry that I said that, Nathan. You literally don't have as many
Thanks.
opportunities.
Yeah, I definitely
I'm
have
sorry.
more than any of you. So you guys all go do it. None of you have excuses.
Patrick could just babysit. He could babysit. And
Yeah,
then Nathan,
see?
you can
I'll go once and then I'll babysit and then you go.
Yeah, and then I come back and my kids know way more about Star Wars than they ever did.
Oh yeah, that'll definitely be a test run for when I have
Deeply
kids and they have to get into it. Yeah, let's not get into that.
No, but thank you, Molly. Those were great answers. Great
Thank
story
you for
too.
having
And,
me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
it was
absolutely. It
wonderful
was-
chatting with you.
Definitely a pleasure for coming on. Thank you for taking. I know you've been extremely busy, and the listeners don't know, but sometimes when it comes to scheduling guests, it can be very much a back and forth thing for many times. That doesn't make any sense, but it's fine. For many times, it can be very, very difficult. And Molly, I really appreciate you finding the time to make it work tonight. Thank you for everything you've been doing during the pandemic, and then excited to follow along on your journey as we get out of this and you're able to go take those steps. If you want people to find you, where could people potentially find you, get a hold of you if they wanted to learn more or follow along?
Yeah, my Instagram is M Molly Enelow. It's just the second M before my first and last name.
Well, Molly, again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
Stick
you for
around,
having
people.
me.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, stick around. We're going to be right back with some sort of snack or something. It's a mystery. Okay, bye. Roll
Okay.
cut.
Welcome back to the Janchi Show. It was a really fantastic interview that we had with Molly. And now we are digging into our very first food segment of 2021. We are so excited to be doing this. And this one, we are no longer in Jerry's mystery box. I think we had spent some time in there and then out of there. But anyways, we got a whole new box. And to help us figure out what the heck we're digging into, we have Juliet Blake. Will you introduce yourself and what we're about to? We actually don't know because it's wrapped from Santa wrapping paper. But
yours is. I couldn't.
oh,
wait.
did you already open yours? Oh my gosh! All right. Anyways, welcome to the show. Would you tell us what we're about to get into?
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Nathan got on the bad list and peaked before Christmas, or so.
Nathan.
Wow!
Cole.
Wow! What a way to start 2021.
I saw photos, so I haven't opened it. I just took the Christmas wrapping paper off.
So you guys are going to be opening a Hello Korea box. I'm really excited. I actually just launched this in mid-December. And yeah, I mean, I was kind of looking at the market, and obviously being Korean, I started seeing just kind of like the Korean culture craze. And everyone's just getting really into the K-pop, into K-beauty. And one of the things that I had realized was there really wasn't a subscription box that's based here in LA or in the US that catered to everything Korean, right? So you would have a K-beauty box or a K-snack box, but there wasn't something that had a little bit of everything, which I think a lot of people really wanted. And so I kind of asked around and did a little bit of research, and they were like, yeah, I would totally want to have, just experience a little bit of lifestyle and K-pop merchandise and snacks and food. So that's kind of how the idea came around. Obviously being Korean, for us, it's things that I grew up just with in the household. So for me, there's just like very normal things. And every time friends would come over, they're like, this is amazing. It's so cute. And I'm like, oh, is it real? And then obviously in our pantries, we have ramyeon all the time. And like, we would just eat that, right? Like for us, it's like meals. But for my friends that, aren't Korean, they were just so fascinated by everything in my pantry. So, the idea came
Wait, by
around.
ramen? Really?
Yeah, it's crazy. But for us, it's so normal. And so I think and I think we've kind of gotten to this place where, the Korean culture is just like, it's something that a lot of people look at and they want to emulate. But I want to be able to show just more to it than just the K-pop aspect, which I think is like kind of taking over like a little bit too much right now. So it's like, hey, how do we dial that back and make sure that all of these fans also understand like all things Korean and not just like the music part. So that's kind of where the inspiration came from. But yeah, if you guys look at the box, it's pretty funny. I actually used the Korean air color for the background to kind of have some kind of association with Korea. I think obviously Korean Air is just like really just a great airline, and so just like little things like that when it came into the marketing. Of course, you need like the little heart, so we have the little finger heart. And then adding on the Korean characters and just making sure that they kind of integrate with the logo.
That's awesome. Well, I'm seeing Nathan handle his package. I'm going to tear mine open right now. Also, though, I need to say this is some of the most beautiful rapping I have ever seen. And I pride myself on my rapping skills. I'm the rapper in the Rilke household, but this is impeccable. So, yeah, amazing.
Thank you. Well, if the subscription box doesn't work out, I will set up a rapping paper service.
That would be amazing. You just partner with Stamps.com.
I mean, I just love the simplicity of it too, though. Like you were saying, it's cute. And it's I love the little heart thing.
So I just wanted to say that as an adoptee, even though I'm Korean, I have no idea what's going to be coming out of this box. So I'm really happy that you're here with us as we go into this, because I'm hoping you'll probably explain some of this stuff to me and to our listeners. So
what's wild though is like I feel like when I was younger, I was like very proud of being Korean and felt like trying to learn more about Korean was like just a way for me to feel different and feel like undercover, just give me like an edge on being cool, right? But now Korean culture is so popular and trendy. I'm just like, man, now I'm just one of the I just feel like a basic American now. So anyways,
But
so
Korean too.
I'm just like, do I even want to do this? I just feel like a poser, even though I literally am a Korean. So
and that's why I think
very
this is
excited to dig
perfect
into
for
this.
adoptees. Like honestly, because we are kind of in the unknown area, and so opening this is going to be a real surprise to us. So it's going to be really cool.
And before I open this, I love the packaging because it says Santa approved. That's how I know this is a good gift. So
Would you
all right,
open your wrapping, guys? I want to get into this thing.
No,
Come on.
mine's open. Here we go.
Okay,
here's the list.
it's loud when people are
You guys are
talking.
the worst. This is like on Christmas.
Nice
I would
to
have been
meet you.
through this in 5 seconds.
Manaso bangawayo, which I'm assuming is nice to meet you, right?
I don't know which
Manata is
camera I should show this to. Well, the first thing that fell out. A cute little personalized note. Thank you, Juliet.
Hello,
Nathan,
It's nice
why
to
did
meet
you peek?
It just fell right
No, I'm
out.
just
Sorry.
So this is awesome. So
Nice to
I
meet
read
you.
on your website that each box comes with like an explanation thingy, right?
Yep.
Cool.
There's a little card in there just kind of saying what the contents are of the box, just so that you kind of know. This first box, obviously, I added in a lot of bonus items for basically everyone that ordered, just to make sure that they're really happy, and obviously as a kind of like a gratitude gift. But yeah, so every box, and I think it'll keep getting better as like we do. Yes.
Yeah.
Patrick, I found your favorite gift.
It's
milk, but it's not
I'm
milk.
going over the contents list right now, and I'm seeing milk.
This is amazing.
I'm just kidding.
That's so cool.
Juliet, I don't know why you would know this, but Patrick doesn't like milk at all. He calls it murky water.
Okay.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, can't stand- so we on a previous episode we tried Milkus.
Okay.
It's so good.
So I'm a fan, and because of the episode, I can't stop like calling it Milkus, even though I know that's not how it's pronounced. But in honor of Patrick, I just keep calling it Milkus. Anyways, that's when we discovered that he was not a fan of milk. So I was like, there's a big old carton of milk that can't have shipped well, but it's actually a pencil case and it's adorable.
All right. So just to quickly clear this up, I don't hate milk. I grew up very lactose intolerant, like I've learned many Asians suffer from.
Yeah.
And I just never grew into it. I can do dairy products. I like ice cream. Milkus specifically, that was just the first thing that came to mind when I saw the contents of inside of the can. And now I carry that explanation with me everywhere I go. So I will own up to it because it did look like murky water, but I gave it a 4 out of 5 because it tasted good.
It tastes amazing.
Yeah, it did taste really good. This pencil case is
This
sweet.
is cute.
Awesome.
And then there's some pens for the pencil case.
Yep. And so I don't know if you guys are familiar. So Korean stationery is like really cute. And so everything that they come out with is really cutesy. And my theory is that I think because in the Korean culture, like parents really want their kids to study a lot. So it helps with that, right? Because it makes it more fun.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Socks.
Ooh, we have Korean socks in
These
here?
are perfect
Yeah,
for.
nice.
Yes.
Little
I
bear
love
socks.
Korean socks are the
Yeah.
bomb.
My kids are gonna
Korean
steal
socks.
those.
Yeah, Korean socks too.
these
I
are
don't know, like
definitely
they're
for
really
me.
great. Like that's the BTS socks.
What are these? BTS, you said?
They're BTS socks. Yeah. So
What?
BTS
This-
has their own line of like kind of cute characters that they came out with called BT21, and so that's one of the
Interesting.
characters.
I did not know that. See, I learned something new right there.
I didn't know that either.
BTS has their own
Okay, see, so
line
that's
of
part of
socks.
my getting over the feeling like a poser trying to learn about like Korean music was I was like, I'm not going to do K-pop. I actually just announced at the top of this episode that I was going to try to cover a Korean song a month.
You did say that.
I have started that and immediately regretted that decision because it is very hard for me to memorize this. And I might have to do K-pop because just the words I think are probably a little bit more repetitive. But like I picked a K indie song and it like every chorus changes. I'm like, I have no hope of memorizing this. But anyways,
Speaking of K-pop, we got some
Blackpink.
Blackpink.
Familiar with them?
I love
Yes.
Blackpink. That album is freaking.
I've heard a little bit of them. I actually, if you'd showed me a picture, I would have known what they looked like, though. So
They're so. I think like
Yeah.
the funny thing with Blackpink is because they're so kind of international. So I don't know if you guys know my story. So I'm Korean, but I was born and raised in Hong Kong. So I was
Okay.
born British, and so knowing that
interesting.
3 of the members of Blackpink are actually like international, they're not Korean. It's just really easy, I think, to like relate to them. And so their documentary on Netflix is amazing. And,
Yeah.
like I was
Yeah, I
never,
got that queued up.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of them. I didn't really know much about them, and then I saw that, and I was like, yes, like they're really hardworking. Like they bring this international kind of flair to K-pop, which I love. So yeah, I think they're really great role models.
I think their
But why
songs
is there
are
only
straight
4 of them?
banger.
I thought all K-pop had
That's
5
very
or
true.
3.
Or like 9, or like
Yeah, it's always an odd number. This is 4 people. What's going on? They're missing someone.
Like BTS is all right, but Blackpink's songs are straight banging hard. I love them.
Yeah,
Yep.
I agree with you completely.
I have
yes.
I only really know. Yeah, so I still actually have the box left from our recording with the choco pie. This is green tea flavor. Very excited about
Throw
these.
this back
They're
to
great.
episode 4, I guess technically, but
So Sujin, shout out. Oh, here's the stationery.
And the
is
stationery,
adorable.
good for the pencils.
Yep.
Nice.
there's just so many things in this box.
Like
I keep
little
finding more
letters.
and more stuff.
Great. I needed some thank you cards for Christmas. So here we go.
There you go.
I'm going to send these out. Who's going to get them? Who's going to get them?
The top of the stationery says, "You are the rainbow in my life. I love you so much."
Yeah.
Aw.
I actually am surprised at how good of the English it is. I feel like usually it's like it's things that are like they're in English and it's really cute almost, except it's like not quite proper English. So I was like a little disappointed. I was like, wait, no, this all makes sense. It's just cute. It's not actually like cute and funny, but
I always have that, like, I don't know if they're being like super philosophical and I'm like missing out on something because like the English is kind of like there but not, and I'm like, well, maybe it's me that I don't understand it, but yeah, they usually have like really funny words on there.
all right. So
Wow.
what is this little snack? It's Bita C.
It's a little candy. So
Is it
that
banana
is a
flavor?
it's like lemon, like it's vitamin C.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Are we
They
eating
come
any
in,
of these
like,
things,
powder
guys?
form, too.
Because I'm just gonna throw this one in. Well, actually, maybe I shouldn't do the candy thing in right now. I'll do that in
Are
a
these
second.
the same? No, this one is Matgol.
Looks like mango.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, Yuja. What is
Citron.
Yeah. And do you guys know yuzu lemon? Like, so that's
Oh,
it's
okay.
like yuzu flavor.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Nice. All right.
What's it taste like, Nathan?
Candies, little hard candies is what I can feel.
Oh, wait, I
so,
got a third one.
Yep. There's a coffee flavor in there too, I think.
Is this a coffee go?
That's the
Oh, yeah.
one.
Is this
Coffee,
like an actual
nice.
Korean coffee go?
Coffee. Yeah.
Wait, do we have one of those?
Yeah, but it's actually
Ah, yes.
I don't know. I guess we never found out about the coffee go.
Jared just said every Korean eats a bunch of coffee goes.
Yeah, that's
but
what Jared
I didn't know
said.
about
Oh,
the
he said
actual
that?
brand that we got.
Cute stickers. These will also be gone all
Yeah,
over
the
my house
branding. It
soon.
was the branding.
These aren't BTS stickers either, are they? Or
No.
what?
It's more cute, like Korean stationery stickers.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna stick these
I
all on
find
the
stickers
walls around our
all
house.
over my house,
I
everywhere,
Why are me and Nathan just children at heart?
including in my youngest's mouth.
You're gonna
So
stick
that's-
one of those stickers
yeah,
in
not good.
one of your youngest kid's mouth. Is that what you just
I
said?
don't stick it in there. She finds it on a wall, peels it off, and then eats it.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I'm just like, oh, what are you
That
chewing
makes
on?
sense.
And I come over there and take it out of her mouth, and it's a sticker. So yeah, not good.
I'm actually super excited about this. I just
Ooh.
saw it on your
Just
website.
Collagen treatment.
Yes, so
Mm.
so my wife has been drinking collagen peptides in her tea. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't know that I need any help promoting hair growth or fingernail growth. I feel like my hair and whatnot grows pretty well, but excited about this face mask.
We should do an episode where we all do face masks.
Let's just do it right now.
Yes, you
We're
should.
already on here.
It wouldn't be my first.
It would be my first.
I did one of those that has the animal face mask one. I think
Those
that
are
was
so
also
cute.
Korean. Yeah.
Yeah, those are really cute.
And then what? It's
Ramen.
a heart gavel keychain.
That's a black pink, so they have their little like light on hammer. So that's their keychain. Yeah, so
It's
it's
very
just-
funny that you said gavel because that was not my first thought.
That's not what your thought was. Oh, I was thinking gavel. Like
What was
you
your
know,
first thought?
where
Well, I saw it from the back, so
Oh.
that looks optically very different because
True.
it looks like this. There's a little bit of pink coming through on the mallet heads, and I was like, interesting.
Clearly it looks
This
like-
feels off-brand for a cutesy Korean box, but no, it feels very on. I'm glad that you were here to explain that.
I'm glad you turned it around.
I thought it was a Stormbreaker from the Marvel Universe.
Oh, there you go. Make it a
That'd
little
be
nerdy.
really cool.
Good job.
That would be cool. But I like this as well.
And then, lastly, the ramens.
Yeah, talk to me about this pushu pushu.
So that is actually a snack. So don't boil that. So I don't know if you guys have ever like with a ramen, like, you know, kind of taking the packet out and like break it apart, eat it like a snack. So that's basically what that is. That's not like an actual
Oh.
like cooking ramen.
It literally says don't boil it.
Yeah, it says don't
Smash.
boil it, smash it.
That's why we got this
Right
hammer.
there. But actually, this is funny because
It's for
KJ
smashing.
talked about that, and I had never heard of that before.
Yeah.
The only time I've ever eaten raw ramen was in a salad. It was as like a crunchy topping kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I've never
yeah.
actually done what this says to do, which is
Yeah.
open the packet, put it in, and shake it. So that I'm excited to try that.
Okay, we did talk
It's
about
so
that. I
good.
thought we talked about eating raw ramen like as a snack.
I want to do
couldn't
this one
remember.
now, actually.
Yeah, no, I think we should. But also rounding it out here is the Yoyo ramen,
Yep.
super spicy. Ah, frick.
Another spicy.
So spicy, I can't hold on to it.
Listen, you know,
It
when
looks
the red
spicy.
packaging,
This looks like
you know it's
the
gonna be
fight
hot.
scene of a Dragon Ball Z.
Super spicy.
Exactly, with
Like-
the fire in the background.
Yeah, this is super intense.
Oh, and I'm sure you do a very good job of looking and everything like that. Just you know, we like the fact that you're you know, sending us things that's not expired, unlike Jerry.
Yeah, that's part of the fun of Jerry's mystery box, though, is you never know if it's going to be expired or
You never
not.
know if you're gonna get sick or not.
So, hello, Korea box. Thanks for
might
doing
have
this.
this
Oh,
for
this is
dinner.
spicy. Okay. So,
Spicy.
just smash it up in your hand here.
Yeah, like this. See,
Open the package,
you
take out the
smash it with your
spice, and
fist
smash
on the ground.
And then it's fine. Yeah.
Oh, and then smash it. All right. I didn't read the packaging.
All right, come here, phone.
I don't remember how we do our own
We're
show.
gonna do it here on my lap.
Easy to open. I like that.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm yelling smash, so I smash this.
I hope I don't spill spicy sauce all over my keyboard right now. So that's going to be an interesting one. Okay, here we go. Would you
All
recommend the entire spicy packet or just a little?
I love spice. Like,
Okay.
I think it's weirdly addicting, so
Same.
I say go for it.
Interesting.
Go
But
for the
yeah.
whole thing. Got it.
Yeah.
You're the first person I've heard call it like weirdly addicting, and that's a perfect way to describe it for me because I'll
It
eat
is,
something
right?
really hot or spicy, and I know I should stop because I immediately start sweating, but
But
I
you
eat
can't.
all the rest of it.
But
So
Yeah.
Can't
I get
stop,
that.
won't stop. Okay, Oduki, your spice packet was not as easy to open as I wanted it to be.
it says tear here.
What?
Make sure I got the seasoning everywhere.
Kind of hard to see on the perforation.
How
but
many
it is
times,
there.
I don't know, since you've opened these things a lot and eaten these before, Juliet, have you ever been doing that, crumpling, shaking, whatever, and then it just opened and went everywhere?
I've done it when I was shaking it, yes.
Okay. I'm just
Yes.
curious if that's like a thing I should be aware of.
I want a cloud
It
of spice
smells
dust to
spicy.
explode upon your
It's
face.
spicy.
It does smell
spicy.
spicy, but
I can smell it from here. Yeah.
I can't even speak. It's already burnt my.
the actual flavor says spicy rice cake flavor, so I don't know what that really
It's
means.
like
But
tteokbokki. Have you guys tried that before?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, so
okay.
that's the flavor.
Okay, I can see powder flying up here in the camera. So
Oh, I thought you
think
were
I'm
talking about me.
shaking.
I was like, whoops.
It's gonna go in my eyes in a second.
Oh no, there's a tiny hole in the bottom of my bag. It's spilling out.
Oh,
the
no,
spice.
Because you
See?
smashed it, bro.
Yeah.
You should smash it.
Dang it.
You went all Hulk on it, and then he was like, I can't stand up to your power.
Okay. It's definitely a different consistency than
Cooked ramen?
regular ramen. Number one,
Yep.
and number two, I mean, it tastes like a noodle, and it looks like a noodle, but it actually kind of tastes, as in consistency wise, like a chip, like a potato chip.
Yep, like a snack.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh yeah.
And spice is not too bad. It's
The
not like
spice
killing
is
me.
good.
Not, I like spice, but yeah.
Awesome.
I just don't want to be like talking and coughing for the rest of the show.
All right. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I could be down with this.
Dang it.
This has me very excited for actual like proper tteokbokki.
Well, what is? Yeah, we're gonna do that one of these days too because I love
Wait,
that.
what is it? I missed it last
Tteokbokki?
time. Oh, yeah.
It's the spicy rice cake.
Gotcha.
Thing. So what is pushu? What? Wait, like
Like pusha is like means like break it. Like
Is
Oh,
that
okay.
onomatopoeia or is it an actual word?
it's an actual like so when you it's kind of like pusha is like the real word, but then when you make it like sound cute and like slang, you go pusha, so that's what that means.
oh, okay.
I think Korean onomatopoeia is like the cutest thing in the world.
It is. It really is.
The only one that I know is knock knock, which is tok tok, but it's just like
Yep.
that's perfect. It just
Yeah.
seems very on brand for Korea as a nation, South Korea as a
It
nation.
really is.
It's just cute too, like you know when you speak to kids, right? And like they have like the current language, but you know it's so some of the Hello Korea Box like you know content that I try to give out is like teaching Korean. So it's a lot of it for me is trying to figure out like, well, which word do I teach? The formal one, the colloquial one, or like kind of like the baby word, you know? So it's pretty interesting. I think Korean's a pretty complex language, but I think K-pop makes it really easy for a lot of people to learn it. So that's the other reason why I'm
Interesting.
like, I wasn't a huge K-pop fan. I was back in like the 90s, like the OG K-pop. I'm like super into it. And then I kind of like fell out of it, and then now I do really love how people are like you know kind of getting into the Korean culture because of it. So I think it's a great thing for us.
Heck
These
yeah.
are really cool. I love the
Dang it.
variety of stuff in this box, though. That's a
I
little bit
can't
of
get over
everything.
how excited I am to have more Korean socks because at this point, at this
They-
present point in my life, I only have 2 pairs and now
Do they fit-
4.
actually,
Of Korean
these
socks.
are-
Korean socks are
I had like a ton and they were
These ones-
amazing. I love
Yeah.
them.
yeah. Koreans are like really great at socks. I don't know
Yep.
why, but like they really are.
hmm Also, one of my Korean friends had a shirt that said Kuma on it, and it was a panda bear, but in the style of Puma. And I was like, "That's the best parody brand I've ever seen." I can't find it,
Amazing.
but that'd be killer to have. K fashion. I'm gonna get into it one of these
Yeah.
days.
KJ's goal in life
Definitely.
now is to only have clothing made in Korea or by Koreans.
I don't know about that.
Very interesting. So I always look at ingredients of things these days, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
But one of the ingredients, which is very surprising, green tea extract.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the choco pie? Because it is green tea.
No, I'm talking about
Dude,
the
use your
the
eyeballs.
pushu.
Buy your socks, everyone.
Yeah, my socks have green tea in it. No.
Yeah.
No, I
All
still have
you
my socks off.
podcast listeners, go to YouTube and check out Patrick's sweet legs, now branded with socks.
Actually, don't look at my
Our
legs.
ratings
Just look at the
went
feet tug.
up.
Yeah. Well, Juliet, thank you so much for giving us this box and
Yeah.
explaining to us what it is. I feel more Korean already, so crushing it.
That was the plan, so I love it. Thank you guys so
Yeah.
much. This has been so great.
Yeah. How do people go about getting one of these boxes?
Just need to go to hellokoreabox.com, and I give a lot of options like subscription from 3, 6, 12 months, and then people that aren't ready for commitment, there's just like a monthly box that you can buy, just like a 1 month thing. So the cool thing is too, like once these boxes and months are over, I'm going to start putting some of the items inside on sale just by itself. So let's say you want another pair of socks, you can go get another pair of socks. So yeah, there's a lot of options for everyone.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, I was gonna say people will want to have probably additional, like this is the sampler pack, and then once they really fall in love
Right.
with it, they'll want to go buy more or give it again, like give it away as gifts, and then maybe
Mhm.
they want to go get some of the stuff. So this is a really cool idea.
Yeah, thanks.
So much.
Oh my gosh, the spice is getting into my throat now. I'm not gonna stop eating it though. I'm not gonna stop eating it.
No, right? It is really tasty and addicting. It's a good flavor. I really like this.
It is very good.
Well, that's the thing too with these smashed pieces. You gotta dump them like you're drinking them, like you do the
Mhm.
bottom of a bag.
I
of
might have
chips.
smashed mine a little bit too much. Yeah,
I did too.
yeah. I think I
Smashed
have
into
some in my
pieces.
eye, to be honest.
You straight got spice in your eye. Love it.
You can
Yeah,
always
just-
eat it with a spoon too. Just saying, like that kind of helps a lot.
I'm gonna go boil it just to see what happens. No,
Don't boil it. Says it on the package right here.
I'm a rebel.
Don't do it.
But like, it would just taste like boiled noodle, right? Like, because there's not
think it
any
would
like the
fall
broth
apart.
stuff, right?
I don't think
Like,
it'd be a noodle. I think it would fall apart and turn
well,
into
now
mush.
that you smashed it, it would. But like, that's the thing. I was like, is it just they just saved on like dried vegetables by not, by making this, or is it? Do you think it's like actually different than their instant ramen?
I think it's different. But just the
think it's
taste of it is
different,
different. Yeah, I mean,
All
it's,
right.
it's a
I'm
different
sure it's different.
consistency.
Well, let's smash up this one and then try it. See what happens.
There you go. That would be one way to compare.
Awesome.
Well, thank you. And I noticed you were also on Facebook. You also have Instagram as well.
Yep. Instagram, Facebook, it's all Hello Korea Box, so you can
Hello
find
Korea
it pretty
Box.
easily.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well,
We
thank
will
you
put that in our
again.
show notes and on our own socials and all that business.
Yeah, thank you so much for
This
sending
is
us this.
incredible.
Thank you
I'm
guys.
pretty sure we already said it, but for walking us through all of these items, I'm just going to repeat it. So, thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait to try some more of these. So.
Cool. Wait, what else?
Great.
How do we end the show?
You can talk to us at Janchi Show and tell us how grateful you are that Hello Korea Box came on and just blew up your life and made it so much better. You can send us an email to janchishow@justlikemedia.com. Also, please leave us a rating or review on iTunes, as that really is helpful. And I'm going to be better about saying that at the end of every episode.
Or subscribe to our YouTube channel too, because we need that also.
Yeah, I'm going to be better about saying
you're
that one
here.
too. Or Nathan's going to have my back every time. I don't know.
Yeah, I got some.
You can find me at KJ Relke on all the places that I want to be found.
I will be at Nathan. Actually, I'm NathanNowalk.com is my regular website. But you can find Instagram at NowalkPhoto.
Yes, at Patrick in the World on Instagram, Patrick Armstrong on Facebook, at Patrick Isn't Real on SoundCloud. Just dropped a new song.
You just dropped a new
the
single
other day,
Yeah.
so please go listen to that, or don't. Whatever works for you. So
No, please do.
But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. And
Go get yourself a Hello Korea box. Juliet, thank you again so much for coming on.
Yeah.
It was great having
thanks,
you.
Juliet.
Thank you.
All right, everybody.
all right,
We'll see you next week. Bye.
Janchi.
Bye.